really appreciate your support. So we have 3 representatives that are going to be talking to you today. They are the highest ranking members of the U.S. Navy here in New York, the Coast Guard, and the United States Marine Corps. For the Navy, it'll be Admiral Daryl Caudle, D-A-R-Y-L-C-A-U-D-L-E, and he is the commander of U.S. Fleet Forces Command. We also have Lieutenant General Brian Cavanaugh, and he is the commander of Marine Forces Command, and still located in Norfolk, Virginia. And we also have Admiral Michael Platt of the United States Coast Guard. I'm going to ask them to just make a brief 1-minute opening statement, and then we'll turn it over to you for question and answers. So, Admiral Caudle, microphone's yours.
Hey, good afternoon. Good to see everybody. Thrilled to have you here. Thrilled to be back. Fleet Week, New York. You're on the capital ship here, the Battan, for Fleet Week, and we're really happy about this. So 36th Fleet Week. Of course, we love coming back to New York, and the whole key here is engagement with our folks, learn what we do, get people out in the tri-state area so people can really learn about what the maritime services can do. So again, I'm over the U.S. Atlantic Fleet, and I really look forward to answering all your questions. Thanks.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and we're excited to be here. And really, the Marine sailors and Coast Guardsmen that are here are really appreciate you welcoming us back into New York. Look forward to the interactions. I really hope that folks come out and see this warship and see all the equipment that we have on these warships and interact with the sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen. You know, the commitment that they've made for our freedoms. They just came back from a long deployment, and when you interact with them, they see cousins, siblings, parents, because they're not from here, and really appreciate you interacting with them, and they're going to interact with you. And again, thank you for all for having us.
Good afternoon. So I'm here representing the United States Coast Guard, and it's a great opportunity for the Coast Guard to share with the public what we do for your nation. And most people don't understand it, so I want to put it in a nutshell for everybody to understand. The United States Coast Guard, being the smallest of the sea services, with only 43,000 people, we protect the nation from threats that come from the sea. We protect men and women that work on the sea, whether that's fishermen, commercial freighters, or recreational boaters. And we protect the sea itself as environmental stewards. So we hope to teach that to the American public and let them know the opportunities that the Coast Guard has for men and women today. Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, we're ready to answer any questions that you have, so please fire away. Right here, front row.
Oh, wow. Okay. James Ford from Pixel 11, the Signal Station here. Just, what are you all looking, actually, what advice, what word would you give to the men and women in your command? They're heading into New York City, some of them for the first time. What advice might you give them? What are you looking most forward to that you hope they can experience?
I'll kick it off with that. I would tell them to be bold, courageous, use the same type of characteristics we want them in combat to storm the city of New York and get really immersed into the culture, you know, the nightlife, the restaurants, the events we have them scheduled to go do, so that the folks here in New York get to see this 1% talent that has come into town. These are extraordinary sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardmen. And the only way you're going to really see that is not sitting on this ship, but get out there and experience New York City. So,
yeah, I'll just echo the same. I mean, I really would want the Marine sailors and Coast Guardsmen to get out and really explore the town. New York is exemplar all over the world of what it reflects in just the diversity of the people, the cultures, and these Marines, sailors, and Coast Guardsmen are ambassadors. They go out all over the globe and kind of, that's what they see of us. So I want them to get in here and learn as much as they can from New Yorkers and enjoy the time.
I would have to say the same as the two other gentlemen that went before me, but I would ask my Coast Guard men and women as I came into New York last night and I felt the energy of the city, right? You can just be here and automatically feel the energy. I would ask that Coast Guard men and women engage with the public and let them know what they do for the Coast Guard because engaging with the public is important for us. As an armed service, we probably engage with the general public more than the other armed services. So it's a sort of a skill set that we have. So I would ask them to engage in that with the public.
Next question. Right here.
Any idea what percentage have never seen New York before? First timers?
I do not have that number. We can get that for you, but I would imagine a lot. You know, a lot of these folks are young. Most of these young warriors, if you will, are on average around 22 years old. So the chance, if they're not from the northeast of the United States, or they come from all walks of life in all countries, very likely have never been in New York City. So I think it's probably a large percentage, but I don't have that number, but it's a great question, and they're going to be overwhelmed.
Sir?
Admiral Kim Kreitzer, CamVets Media. Just if you mentioned the ship is just back from a 9-month deployment, went from the Baltics to the Red Sea. Maybe just offer a comment about how they did, and also the value of this type of a ship in that region, an amphibious assault ship.
Okay. Well, as many may know or may not, the Battan just came back for over an 8.5-month deployment. That's a long time to be away from your home, your families, and conducting business on behalf of the Navy and our nation. And I think I would characterize what they did as remarkable. I just took the post-deployment brief where they come and they talk about what they did, all the operations, all the things we do with the Marine Corps with this type of vessel, with its air combat element on board. You're seeing some of with the static displays from MV-22 to Harrier, Cobra, Huey, shore connectors, about 2,000 Marines on board, a number like that, maybe 18 to 2,200 Marines. And that is a deterrent, and it's multi-mission. And so it's just the things that they can do as a group, an amphibious readiness group of the 3 ships goes from amphibious landing, of course, to defense and civilian affairs over there, helping out with DISCA type missions, interdiction missions, and of course probably the best mission is just the deterrence of a ship that's 70,000 plus tons with an air wing embarked on it with the United States flag, pretty much saying don't mess with us. So that's a big part of its power projection. So
General Cavanaugh,
any
anything like
addition
that?
on that?
Yeah, I'll just echo Admiral's hit spot on. There's no greater naval force on the planet, none. And since our nation's founding, this naval force has been, I'll say, inherent in our culture. So just be able to operate from the sea is an important part of our history, is an important part of who we are as Americans. And this Battan ARG, Amphibious Ready Group, with the 26 MU Marine Expeditionary Unit, just returned, and they were projecting power all over the globe.
Next question?
Can I just
Yeah,
follow
please.
up, if you don't mind? I gotta ask this because it's there. It's New York City. Not everyone is going to appreciate the service that you all have given, particularly since October 7th. Can you talk about any advice, any orders that have been given just to be on the lookout, be aware of that kind of opposition?
Yeah, sure. Anytime you come into a large city, there's some risk to the general tourist all the way to a uniformed member of the sea services. So we brief our sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardmen about those types of things, places they shouldn't go, things that perhaps are maybe off limits to be watching, their six, if you will, as we say. But in no way, shape, or form is that the main effort here. We have complete confidence in the protection we're being afforded by our own security teams, by the great men and women who serve in the police department here in New York City. And so we want them to get out there and, again, like I opened with, be bold. Go experience it, not let that be in any way, shape, or form a deterrent. I would tell you that what sells this thing you're talking about is when folks get to meet our sailors, Marines, and Coast Guardmen. When they go into a restaurant, they don't pay. Somebody picks up the tab. Somebody comes up and thanks them for their service. Somebody buys them a drink. Somebody shakes their hand. Somebody conveys to them a story about their kid, sister, brother that's also in the military. That's what we're looking for this week. And I think that's going to be true in spades, and I think it's going to be a tremendous week. And I'm not concerned at all about any type of post-October 7th issues with that.
Anyone else? Yep. I'm sorry, right here.
So just wondering, just wondering, with Battan
Yeah, let me. Where's the captain? Is the captain here?
The XO.
XO?
Yeah, let me get the ground truth here, but let me just. I'll set him up a bit. So if you are deployed and you're scheduled for 6 months, 7 months, and you got that date, you can imagine as people that have families, they may have something that they've already planned for in 7 months and 1 day. And so all types of things, from vacations to babies' births to weddings, everything. We're human beings, and there's stuff that these type of decisions significantly impact. And so, but all of them understand going to a forward deployed location, that's on the table to be extended. And we've seen time and time again these 8.5 month. In fact, we got the Eisenhower Strike Group over there. It's going to be 9+ months before she comes back. And so this is the nature of our Navy. We're used to this. And with the state of affairs of all the things going on, we're the right folks to be doing that type of thing. And so the professionals that serve on board these ships know how to process that information. And then my hat's off to the family members who also understand how to process it and support their sailor or Marine and say, hey, I got it. I know what you're doing is important for our country. And but the ship has a responsibility, I think, to build esprit de corps after news like that. And maybe the XO or now the future CO here can spend a few words on that.
Yes, sir. How are you? Captain Tracehead, XO here on USS Battan. With regards to being extended, we were in the Arabian Gulf on October the 8th when Hamas sent missiles into Israel. And we immediately went from the Arabian Gulf and went at best speed into the Red Sea. And we stayed in the Red Sea for over 100 days. And the crew absolutely understood what we were doing there. And it was absolutely to deter, the Houthis out of Yemen, but also just presence ops in the Red Sea. So with regards to the crew, if the crew understands that there is a real world mission and we are out there to execute it, it did not have a bad effect. And honestly, it had a good effect on the crew because they understood that what they were doing and we were carrying out national tasking.
XO, just for the media, would you mind just spell out your first and last name?
My first name is Trace, Trace, Head, Head.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? One more?
I have a question for the Admiral from Admiral Platt. We commissioned the Coast Guard cutter Sutphin here about a year ago, just over a year ago, and it was going to the Middle East for its duty assignment. I was wondering how it's doing and what the Coast Guard does in that region of the world, the Middle East.
Thank you for that question. The Coast Guard actually is present in every combatant command on the globe. So you think of the United States Coast Guard as being in the United States, but we have an international presence. And we do have a mission in the Red Sea as we work with the Navy. Really, when you think about the Coast Guard authorities and responsibilities, we do boardings, we do interceptions of vessels and to check to see what kind of cargo they have on board. Those type of skill sets are sort of complement the mission for the Navy in the Red Sea. We most recently had a smaller, older cutter in the Red Sea. We now are moving our fast response cutters, which is a larger, more capable cutter, to do the mission in the Red Sea. And we're happy to do it, and we'll continue to do it. I'll tell you, for the parents out there, the men and women that command those vessels, the commanding officer of those vessels, are often 27, 28 years old, doing a mission in the Red Sea, working with the Navy. Thank you for your question.
Okay, we think we have time for maybe one last question. Anybody? Okay, no takers. Thank you very much for coming out. We do have we're gonna have to cut it off now. We do have a great opportunity for you. We're gonna now take the media and give you a really good tour of the ship so you can see a number of the spaces. But while you are impressed with the ship, I know you're going to be more impressed with the sailors and the Marines and the Coast Guardsmen that are on board that you have a chance to talk to. So please take advantage of that opportunity and talk to these young men and women. Again, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. And media, thank you very much for your time.